Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Alex D shot me a dealer's choice donation deck list, and I've got a fun one for you all. This deck list comes to us from the 5-0 deck list dump at the hands of Maxtortion, who played a really neat natural order ramp deck, I suppose you'd call it. If you kind of take a look here, this deck has 8 Soul Lands, plus Chrome Mox, plus Spirit Guide, plus Green Sun for Dryad Arbor, plus Noble Hierarch, plus Ignoble Hierarch. And if you carry the 1, move the decimal point over, that's a lot of ramp. That is borderline an unhealthy amount of ramp. And so we are going to be looking to get to natural order very quickly, or alternatively get to another powerful card that can spiral the game on its own, such as Undermountain Adventurer, which is also a mana dork. We're going to have a lot of mana in this deck, meaning that we reasonably could cast Turntimber Symbiosis to dump a large creature into play, instead of just always imprinting this under a Chrome Box or playing it as a land. In days of Legacy long since past, Progenitus was oftentimes the best thing that you could find off Natural Order, but we have some other very interesting options now, such as Tyrranax Rex, or I guess it's like Tyrranax Rex, because Onyx is an ancient Greek word that means something like ruler or leader. It's uncounterable, trample, ward 4, haste, toxic 4. So it's an 8/8 that smashes in there and also gives your opponent 4 poison counters. So like it's a 3-turn clock in 2 different directions. And then we have Atraxa Grand Unifier, aka Strictly Better Grizzlebrand. Bryant watching? If so, I made him mad. Okay. Seriously though, this card is one of the first big creatures to rival Grizzlebrand in a very long time, and within the context of this deck list specifically, it being green is a major upside, because you can natural order for it, and I guess technically you can also cast Green Sun for an absurdly large number in order to find one of these creatures. Speaking of absurdly large, take a look at the booty on Apex Altisaur, a 10/10. When it enters the battlefield, it fights one target creature you don't control, and anytime it is dealt damage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. This creature can be very powerful, swing games hard, and chump blocking it probably isn't going to work for a very long time. There's a handful of other things supporting this deck list here, but in the truest sense, this is a ramp deck that kind of has this natural order combo in it. There's some interesting stuff in the sideboard that I want to highlight. Couple of things you might not be familiar with. Number one is Hall of Gemstone, which is sort of like a Blood Moon for mono green. It's probably less good than Blood Moon by a decent amount, but if you're playing against some 5-color nonsense, you can probably put a stop to it with this card. In addition, we're also playing Gaia's Blessing. You're probably noticing more and more Legacy deck lists are playing something like Gaia's Blessing, Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, or Kozilek Butcher of Truth, so that if a Painter deck combos them out, they actually just get to shuffle their whole graveyard back in. And that works unless you happen to draw your one of in a very humorous fashion, and everyone is like, Phil, stop saying what's going to happen. It's scary. You need help. Otherwise, about the only card here you probably won't recognize is Archon of Valor's Reach, flying Trample Vigilance as, not when, as, those are different. As it enters the battlefield, choose Artifact, Enchantment, Instant Sorcery, or Planeswalker, and players can't cast spells of the chosen type. So a lot of times if you're playing against a combo deck or a very sort of narrow deck, you just get to pick the type that it's most common or that would answer your Archon, and it leads to an easy victory. I think with that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into the matches here. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It is the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. My opening hand has mana. How much mana do I actually have on turn 1? I have 4 mana on turn 1 if I want it. I'm going to keep this hand. I got to figure out how exactly I'm playing it. This Green Sun is my threat. The second Chrome Mox isn't particularly good here. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Imprint 1 Hierarch. Cast 1 Hierarch. Drop an Ancient Tomb. And then on turn 2, I get to Green Sun for like X's 4 or 5 and find a big threat. Guess I'm hoping not to be playing against counter magic. I'm a little soft to that. I'm also a little soft to a Thoughtseize, but I don't care about removal, which is nice. My opponent says I was not expecting that. My biggest strength. No one knows what bullshit I'm doing on any given day. Savannah. Alright, there's a prismatic ending. That actually doesn't matter here. Okay, I think I just play City of Traders here to avoid just taking a gajillion damage. We'll cast a Green Sun for X is 4. I could get Grist. I think I just want to take the initiative and be able to scry, though. I think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm going down the right side versus a Swords to Plowshares deck. All right, this gives me that basic. I assume we're playing against something kind of in the Mavericky ballpark. Maybe Bant Control. All right, yep. Love seeing that. If I get a live draw, I could go to Forge. All right, there is a Noble Hierarch. Luckily, my threat has Vigilance. Scry 2 or Forge. I think I want to Scry 2. I would like to use my mana this turn. I'm not entirely convinced that that is correct. I want Once Upon a Time. I'd rather just draw a thing and play a thing. Maybe I just accept Once Upon a Time. I don't think I want Trinisphere. I'm going to go ahead and top this. I believe I attack first. I might have some floating mana things happen. Alright, bash in for 3. Opponent goes to 16. Go ahead and Once Upon a Time. Wow. Those are some bricks. I'll, I guess, grab a Spirit Guide. I don't think I want to tap this here. I think I have enough mana that I can just give up. Oh, nope. I can just give up City. I am straight up just going to cast this, and this leaves me in the situation where my opponent can't necessarily just Force a Plowshares one thing and crash on in. I wasn't really expecting to whiff on a well, it's air quotes, whiff on a Once Upon a Time looking at 5 cards. Those cards go to the bottom. Yeah, there's now a lot of Green Suns at the bottom of my library in a way that I'm not really a fan of. Burrow's not an immediate problem, but the extra land drop's really good for my opponent. Brainstorm. My opponent make a regular land drop? Yeah, my opponent already made a land drop of a regular Tundra already. Bit of an interesting brainstorm given that. Not sure if I want to attack with this Spirit Guide. I'm just going to continue to head down the right side here. Take my treasure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. I guess I can do that pre-combat even. Ow. 7. Turntimber Symbiosis. Days. I have a mana dork. My opponent said sorry, smiley face, and then realized that I had a mana dork. Dude, fucking deck. Fucking deck. How dare you? Alright, let's make a big booty Elder Spirit Guide, I guess. That's not really how I wanted this turn to go. I guess I'll attack. I'm not really sure that that's correct. But I'll still have 2 bodies in play to contest the initiative. Does this deck actually have enough creatures? Ooh. Might get punished for that. Yeah, but, like, the Once Upon a Time hits were really bad. The Turntimber Symbiosis hits were really bad. Yeah, I may end up losing this one. Oh my god. I think I was supposed to throw away this body to get one step further into the Undercity here. I wasn't really expecting my opponent to have Force of Plowshares on my own turn. So, like, I was hoping it was remove a creature or get Uro into play, not both, when I made my decision to attack in for some damage. I'm hoping, like, we just kind of, ooh, that's brutal. That bounces my skeleton token, making it very hard for me to take back the initiative. Going to get cracked for 6. Or 7 after Exalted, actually. Go to 9. I'm dead next turn. But my opponent has just made Noble Hierarch into a more reasonable blocker for Elvish Spirit Guide. Like draw a Natural Order or something. That's a Trinisphere. I guess I'm not technically dead. Jump block this. Stay alive for another turn. I don't think I can tap Ancient Tombs here to play Trinisphere. I don't know, like, once Trap starts getting involved, my Ancient Tombs look so bad. Petty Theft. Okay. I will concede to that. In no capacity will I play that I claim that I played perfectly, but not seeing anything better than a Spirit Guide on 12 looks plus a handful of draw steps was absolutely brutal. Actually, now that I'm like really taking a look at deck construction, there's not actually that many hits for Turntimber Symbiosis, is there? Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Okay, what do I want to play against my opponent's deck? Endurance is very reasonable. Endurance is not crazy. Allosaurus Shepherd technically does stuff, but I haven't really been super impressed by Allosaurus Shepherd as a Green Sun target, and I'm probably just going to cut it, honestly. Like, Endurance can get in here. I think I want a little more fat. Like, I think I'll put one more creature in here. How do I feel about Trinisphere? I don't need Collector Oof. That can go. This leaves me with 2 more cuts if I want to play 3 copies of Endurance. I could just cut 2 Trinispheres. Or cut all the Trinispheres and play Dismember. Let's cut 2 Trinispheres. Okay. Turn 1, Elvish Spirit Guide Hierarch. Turn 2, Spirit Guide Natural Order. Ah, that's a weird hand. I don't know that I keep this. This hand does a super fast Natural Order, assuming my opponent has no spot removal or counter spells, and I think otherwise it just falls apart. I'm gonna mulligan this and try to find something a little more consistent. This will absolutely qualify. I will keep this hand. I can play Trinisphere on turn 1 if I would like. I don't know that I would like. I don't know. Trinisphere into Natural Order is really fucking cool. Just like have to sack City of Traders. I think I'm going to play this game a little bit slower and not give up a card to Chrome Mox here. Alright, let's Once Upon a Time. My opponent did keep 7. Noble City Grist. Probably just take the Walker here. Let's drop Bayou into Hierarch. I do need the Grist, or sorry, I do need the Ignoble Hierarch to live in order to just Grist. But we're hoping to dodge here. Did not dodge. Get a little more awkward now. I think I just kind of accept that and jam the old 3-ball here. Brutal. I don't have a creature for Natural Order. I don't have the second colored mana for Grist. I do have my Bayou, which is nice because I don't actually have all that many sources that actually cast a Grist. Green Sun more than likely is a ramp spell, and I probably play Grist and then Natural Order a little bit later. No shuffle there. I think I do this with Green Sun. It seems to me that I'm more likely to be able to double spell later if I do it like this. We'll pick up an Ignoble. Call it a turn. We're kind of hoping to put my opponent to like the resource test and have them expend resources early on these cards that don't super matter, so that I can do something a little bit more unfair later on. Definitely having some mana woes right now, though. I still don't regret throwing back the Chrome Mox from the opening hand, though. Alright, there's a fast fetch. There's the Brainstorm, and I do lose my Mana Dork. I can just do it again on my turn. And I will be, because that's the only one of my cards I can cast, unfortunately. At least in a way that's meaningful. I'm not willing to evoke here. Alright, it's in play. Life's bad. My opponent can start making big plays like Teferi and such this turn that set me back a lot. Or putting my opponent ahead on land drops would also be a pain. Ooh, buddy. That's finding a Caldra. Is this the Natural Order turn? Or is this a Grist turn? And do I play around Spell Pierce? I guess Grist is a creature on the stack. Grist is a little slow in the face of Caldra. I think I'm going to Chrome Mox. I'm going to imprint the Endurance. And I'm going to go ahead and take my swing here. It just kind of feels to me like if my spell doesn't resolve this turn, I'm horribly behind. Alright, I played around Daze. They had Force. And it feels to me like if I just cast Grist here, and minus on the Stoneforge, and then like a prismatic ending or something happens to Grist, I just don't recover from that. Like, it's possible that like Grist still gets Force of Will, and then I get to just natural order the following turn. I don't know. I'll eat 5. I'm at 15. Life's bad. That's nowhere near castable. Cast Grist. Plus and make an insect. My opponent will presumably kill the Grist. The insect in play gives me a shot at drawing a natural order to attempt to do my thing again. Jitte coming next turn. Grist goes down. That's another Turntimber Symbiosis. That's not gonna do it. At this point with Jitte online and Caldra in play and hitting me, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel. GG's. Alright, I've kept my opening hand here. I'm probably just going to play a turn 1 Trinisphere unless something changes drastically. My opponent has a Dryad Arbor, which makes turn 1 Trinisphere significantly worse. Alright, we drew a big boy. Let's cast this. What am I doing with my life? And am I casting this card ever? If I'm not ever casting that card, I can go turn 1 Bayou. No, it'd have to be Ancient Tomb. Turn 1 Ancient Tomb. Imprint this little lad. Cast Noble Hierarch. Spirit Guide out. Noble Hierarch play Chronosphere. I think I like that. And then use Green Sun to get a real win condition. Alright. Ancient Tomb. Chrome Mox. Imprint the Phyrexian Dinosaur. Cast Noble Hierarch. Cast Trinisphere. And next turn I can just Green Sun for an initiative creature. And how good this Trinisphere is, though, depends a lot on what my opponent is doing. Ah, I see. Also a person of culture. So, probably safely fetch Bayou here. This is 4. My own Undermountain Adventurer. And pick up a forest. My Trinisphere probably does close to nothing and will be boarded out for future games. My opponent can go wide of what I'm doing, which I don't super like. But I should, in theory, have the larger creature here. Now, I guess my opponent gets to forge first if they throw away Dryad Arbor. I mean, I will take out your creature here. And they get to forge, which means they beat my Exalted. Now, they've got this Urza Saga Mirror Breaker, and I also used a bunch of that's nice. Land drop. 4 mana, natural order. Sacrificing Noble Hierarch. Apex Altisaur. I think I'll Apex Altisaur. It's just so big. Fight that. No other targets here. My opponent can sacrifice their Urza Saga Construct if they would like to take the initiative. Or sorry, if they would like to hold the initiative. And it seems like they do. So my opponent can now trap me. I have 13 incoming damage next turn. And my creature isn't legendary, so there's not going to be any sort of expedition map, find Caracas, bounce, take me out of combat nonsense that would have happened if I did take Atraxa. There is a Mox Diamond. Alright. That wasn't looking good. That natural order rip saved my bacon. So very importantly here, I want these Trinispheres out of my deck. I don't want this Allosaurus Shepherd. I don't think I want Collector Oof, even though my opponent has Urza Saga. I'm probably going to go up another creature here, just for more hits for Natural Order or Once Upon a Time or Turntimber Symbiosis. And then I'm going to think about some number of these cards. I need 5 to fill the slots that I've taken out. I think I want the Dismembers for opposing Giant Warriors. Force of Vigor clearing Urza Saga is super cool. Can also clear some artifact mana, but there's also just something to be said about increasing the creature density and playing Endurance. I I think on the draw, I'm gonna play a couple Force of Vigor. Turn 1 Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. Turn 2 Grist is not bad. Once Upon a Time gets some looks at a second land drop. I guess it has to be something that gets black. This is just worse than a natural order hand. And I do just want a natural order hand. That is my easiest way to, I think, beat my opponent. This hand doesn't do anything unfair. Let's assume I find a regular land. This is 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana on turn 2, which is not 5 mana for Green Sun. If I find a soul land, I can Green Sun for an initiative. Okay. I guess if... I don't know about this one. I think I have enough hits that this is fine. Yep. Get your Dryad Arbor. Alright, I picked up a Mana Dork. Is potentially good. Okay, there is a soul land. I will take that. I will play a Oseiju. I will Green Sun for my own Dryad Arbor. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can Green Sun for 4 next turn. I can also do that by playing Ignoble Hierarch this turn, though. Is probably a better use of my mana. Just gives me an exalted creature in play. It also gives me access to black mana if I do want to Grist. Alright, Shifting Ceratops in my opponent's build. That will surely die. I'm always playing Ancient Tomb. From there, it's a little tougher. I think I want to get Grist active. Ugh. I'm going to go ahead and play Grist. I think I just plus Grist. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to go ahead and take out the Ceratops and push 2 points of damage here. Because this is like very much a matchup where individual points of life are probably going to be quite relevant. Force of Vigor is incredibly strong. I'm going to eat Urza's Saga and the construct that my opponent makes. I'm going to go ahead and kill their Dryad Arbor now. So let's sack an insect, take out Dryad Arbor. My opponent makes their construct. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, do I want to hardcast Force of Vigor instead? Then my opponent doesn't have 1 artifact left over. I think I do. I love tempo as much as the next guy, but this feels very hard to beat. Let's just bash in for 1. Opponent's at 17. And I could have done this better, right? Like, I could have done this in a way where my opponent got attacked for 2 this turn, so there's a misplay on my end. But GG. This hand has a reasonable mix of lands and spells, and I don't really know that it's good. This plays a turn 2 Trinisphere, a turn 3 initiative creature. I'm not impressed by this. I'm also not sure that I should mulligan it. Like, I have a plan, it's just a turn slower than I want. I think I'll keep this blind, but I am not really sure that this hand's acceptable. Flooded Strand. Not Underground Sea? Okay, good. Not Underground Sea. It's a Delver. My hand's shit. Turnsphere sucks versus Delver. I'm going to get fucking wastelanded and die. And it is going to be ugly. Alright. Mana Dork acquired. Yeah, but like when your opponent plays a turn 1 threat and your turn 2 is Trinisphere, you're already a bunch. Ooh. Fucking this Daze is so fucking good, man. I hate everything. Absolutely everything. I believe this is the correct play. It just fucking stings. I already used my Dryad Arbor. Gross. Gotta attempt to put a creature into play, and I don't think my opponent counters a Collector Oof. So that means this is my line. This baits the Daze that I know about. And then the plan is get a creature into play, cast Natural Order. It's just like much higher with Dryad Arbor gone. And Trinisphere is probably not a super castable card this game. Let's see. I'm on 12. Okay. This is not bad. It's a little awkward, but this is something that I can work with at least. I have a lot of fail points that can happen in this turn. So this creature getting swords is a fail point. This Trinisphere getting countered is a fail point. That's totally fine. That's a blind predict. Okay, they are Jeskai Delver. If my creature doesn't get removed, I have Natural Order. And Natural Order probably wins me the game. I don't have Progenitus, which would be the easy way to do it. I guess they can still Trinisphere, or they can still Force of Will Trinisphere. Through Trinisphere. I'm hoping my opponent has to tap some mana here to do something. Given that my opponent's deck plays Lightning Bolts, I probably just have to go for something here. Okay, Lightning Bolt on the creature. That stops Natural Order. I can do this for X is 3. Which is pretty good. I have 1 Endurance, which is what I'm going for here. I will clear out my opponent's graveyard. Not playing this land. I might be shocking to play Natural Order around Daze next turn. Yeah, see, this is what I want to see. This means that I can Natural Order successfully on my turn. Of course, this means that I will draw whatever Natural Order target I want. Because that's just kind of how life goes. Alright. Crash in with Endurance. Opponent goes to 16. We will Natural Order, and it will resolve. Normally, versus a Delver deck, Atraxa is just a pretty much guaranteed win. My opponent can Swords to Plowshares this, which is a problem. I think I still go for Atraxa over Apex Altisaur. This just gives me so much more gas. Sorcery? I think I leave that in deck. Creature. Artifact. Land? Done. I have a Trinisphere in play. I think I'm going to play this as a tapped land. And lose City. Alright, opponent is fetching. They brainstormed. So they're clearing out their stuff. See if my opponent can get my Atraxa out of play. They can. Now this does mean that my Natural Order is not live right now. I also can't double spell. Is awkward. So let's go ahead and Hierarch here. And now if my opponent can do something about my creatures, or otherwise has a counterspell, I'm not actually in that great of a position. Stoneforge is fine. I beat that. Beat that quite easily, in fact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could go up to 7 mana to double spell here. I don't think I want to take the extra damage. Make a normal land drop here. Do a mana. Actually, I can double spell no matter what if I'm willing to take 2. That doesn't result in me getting a thing. Okay. Alright. So let's start with a Natural Order. Pick up the Apex Altisaur. We'll fight Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, I was just dealt damage. I'll fight another creature. I'll fight... Oh, there's no more creatures left for me to fight. Fight's over, folks. I think it's okay for me to pay 2 life to put an extra body into play here. Playing this Mana Dark probably means that even if I want to multi-spell, I don't ever take damage again. Although maybe it should have been Collector Oof. Sure. 1, 2, 3. Play an Ignoble Hierarch. I would like to do 12 combat damage. My opponent goes to 3. My opponent cannot double bolt me. I think this is worth the life again. Puts me to 6, but leaves me with an extra attacker for if the Apex Altisaur is removed. I guess it's a little awkward if my opponent has Bolt in hand, because I lose the game at 1 with them at 1. Alright, Delver trigger. Oh, I lose a single bolt. What the fuck was I doing? Okay, it didn't matter. Yeah, I lose to single bolt Delver Flip there. I shouldn't have played that card. Okay, I see what I did. Just mentally, I see what road I went down. All right, endurance seems good. Run afoul seems good. My starting point is going to be cutting 4 Trinispheres for these 4 cards. I feel like I don't need this one here. I feel like having access to these other ones is probably more important. And now I can decide whether or not I want to play Dismember or Allosaurus Shepherd. Dismember is kind of important for Stoneforge Mystic. I don't really see what I cut, though. Yeah, I don't really see what I cut, so I think I'm not playing Dismember here. I don't know, maybe I need it on the draw. I'm very uncertain about that. No? Plays an Endurance, but is not really doing anything too cool and gives up a whole bunch of cards to Chrome Mox to have stable mana. I think I'd rather go to 5 than keep this mess. It's very easily the best hand so far. It's definitely got problems, though. I think I get rid of the Green Sun here. I think I cast this Once Upon a Time right now, before my opponent has an island in play. Undermountain Adventurer, get a real threat, is probably what I need to do, despite the fact that I would really like to just take the other mana dork and try to just be as consistent as humanly possible. This isn't going to be a fast hand. I'm going to be playing this hand in a way that tries to make my stuff uncounterable. Okay. I will be starting out on Allosaurus Shepherd, which I don't love. I would much rather just play my mana dork, but if I have this card, I might as well cast it and have it eat the lightning bolt rather than the Noble Hierarch. And I don't think I want to Elvish Spirit Guide out Noble Hierarch here. Alright, no immediate Stoneforge, which is nice. Hello, Progenitus, you are right on time. I hate this. I pay the life so that Noble Hierarch cannot be dazed. And next turn I'm hoping to play an Undermountain Adventurer, but I'm not actually hopeful that that's going to occur. And right now I'm like very much feeling the fact that I'm down 2 cards from the mulligans. I can YOLO this game right here on whether or not my opponent has a daze. I'm fine with trading 3 cards for their 2 cards for Force of Will. I'm in no capacity okay with trading for daze. Am I going to beat daze anyway? Probably not. Alright. Okay, I accept this. I just didn't want to trade for Force of Will, or sorry, for daze there. That would have been devastating, whereas this is only very bad. Ah. Got a thing I can do. I don't want to do it yet because of Prismatic Ending. Brazen Borrower. Alright, my opponent spent an entire turn cycle without using any mana, which I'm happy with. Alright, now my opponent has a threat. So let's Chrome Mox. Imprint Progenitus. I can cast an Endurance. I guess I do it in combat. I don't do it on my own turn. Guess I can take a look at this card from Delver. No flip. Oh, it's a Predict. I think while my opponent cannot Force of Will this is my moment. This is just relatively likely to resolve here. The last card has to be Daze. So this gives me something that walls the Delver. My opponent can draw their 2 cards with Predict and have a slightly more stocked graveyard in exchange for me being more certain that Endurance actually resolves. Okay, another Bauble. Sure. Targeted themselves with that so they can know what to do with their fetch land. Draw your card. Okay, they're going to fetch first. Sure. Okay. You know I have a land. I would trade 3 damage for 3 damage here. Not 100% sure about that. But I don't want to just, like, chill for too long, because my opponent has things like Stoneforge for Cauldra that they can draw later on that can really change the clock, so I think just kind of yuck. Taking my hits in for damage now is perfectly reasonable. I kind of feel like my opponent has a decent number of lands. Maybe Lightning Bolt. My opponent has a Predict. Luckily for you, opponent, I do not have another Endurance. We go to 13. Young Pyromancer. Alright, Endurance is not attacking anymore. 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm not there. Alright, I'm chilling. I need 2 more mana to cast this. Preferably more. No end of turn actions. This could absolutely be so much worse for me. Oh, no Lightning Bolt in hand. Otherwise the Delver attack in is like perfectly reasonable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. I can't do anything yet. Opponent has 5 cards in hand. Counterspells, lands, Lightning Bolt, somewhat likely. Alright, there's a Predict. Saw that off the Delver. Alright, they have milled over a Spell Pierce. That's good to know about for this. I'm living in fear of like Stoneforge Mystic Murktide Regent. Woohoo! Yeah. That's pretty good. Yep. Alright, everybody's coming in. Am I more scared of a flyer? More scared of a token army? I think I'm more scared of infinite blockers forever. A lot of ways to play this turn. Because like I can play this turn in the way where my endurance lives another turn cycle by blocking this token. But then like every counterspell just becomes scarier and scarier. I think I'm just fine with trading the endurance and then hoping to draw like natural order and my opponent has nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Imprint 6, 7. Go for Turntimber Symbiosis. Not played around days. I don't know, my opponent just has a whole bunch of stuff in play. I probably just have to accept that. Let's fetch. Find a Bayou. Chrome Mox. Big Booty Dinosaur. Turntimber Symbiosis. You would never disappoint me, right? You would never disappoint me. Alright, my opponent had Force of Will pitching. Blue card. I don't think I win from here. I can't just randomly natural order. And my opponent has lethal over 2 turns, assuming no other cards are played. Oh, there's a Spell Pierce as well. Okay, they're not keeping it. Sure. This brings me to 1. And there's an active Jitte. Yeah, that's a great top deck, but I don't have a creature. Womp womp. Grist feels kind of slow here. I could see cutting a Grist. Like, plussing for creatures for natural order is cool. I just don't know that I have time to play a Grist in a lot of situations, and then like plus and minus. I just don't really like how my cards line up here. I think I'm gonna play 1 more Allosaurus Shepherd when I'm on the play. Have a greater density of early plays that matter. I have a mana. Fire removal's so good. So much more excited about these against blue-red than I am here. This is like a very good 6-card hand. I think I'm going to try keeping these. I'm not happy, but I think I have okay rationale for keeping this. I am going to be wastelandable anyway. I'm going to grab Bayou accordingly and just drop this. It's not like I'm playing turn 2 Undermountain Adventurer in just about any circumstance anyway. Alright. Okay. I'll take that. I do now have some draws that can allow me to play Undermountain Adventurer on turn 2. I can draw a Chrome Mox or a Spirit Guide. Turn's very underwhelming if I don't draw one of those things. Hey, it's a Chrome Mox. If I were my opponent, I would counter this if I had the ability to. Drop Progenitus, play Ancient Tomb, take the initiative in a way that's uncounterable, pull a basic out of the deck, crash in for 1. Maybe this is what I should have just played towards end. I should have just grabbed Forest on turn 1. Alright, there is a Stoneforge Mystic. My plan needs to just kind of be erase that. I think I am capable of doing. Forge this up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could play uncounterable Turntimber Symbiosis this turn. I don't think that's better than just doing it next turn, though. So let's go land drop, Ignoble Hierarch. Go to combat. Swing in for the 5, which becomes 6. My opponent goes to 12. I'll now use this as a mana dork. Again, this cannot be countered. And I will go ahead and trap my opponent, putting them to 7. And I can probably brute force my way through a Cauldra. Alright, sure. EE. Not bad. Get to draw a card here. That's a Spirit Guide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go ahead and fetch. Grab a forest. Go ahead and attempt this free combat. It currently cannot be countered. I will find another Undermountain Adventurer. That is going to do the whole Throne of the Dead 3 thing. We get to look at 10. Lol. Alright, that's not what I was looking for. It found an Elvish Spirit Guide. These are Vigilant, and they do add 6. So this is also a 5/5 attacker. Send them on in. Yep. Cauldra hits play. Blocks my big one. I'll make 6 mana. Activate Allosaurus Shepherd. And my opponent is facing down lethal. Yeah, you can exile my creature. That was a really neat interaction that happened there. Of like turning this into a greater mana dork to get lethal damage with an Allosaurus Shepherd attack. I've never done something quite like that. GG's. Alright, I started round 4 with kind of a mediocre opening hand here. I don't think it's worth throwing back, because like a bunch of exalted creatures can end up doing quite a bit of damage over the course of a game. But this is less powerful than, say, a hand that just ramps into a fast natural order. Like, this hand is hoping for turn 3 initiative creature as kind of the primary thing that it does. There's nothing wrong with that. Mana dork into 3-ball immediately? Alternatively, 3-ball around days? My current problem is I don't know if I'm playing against, like, Control, or Combo, or Delver. I think I'm going to take a turn to just get really far ahead on mana. I think ignoring Grist. I can cast a Grist with these mana dorks. Hierarch number 3. And crash in for a lightning bolt worth of damage. Don't do anything that hurts all 3 of my lovely children at the same time. I would be sad. I'd also be a little sad at like a Stoneforge Mystic. Alright. So I think this turn starts here. And I see if this resolves. It does not. Pitching a minor misstep. I can cast a Green Sun for X's 3. Which gets me a Grist. I think I'm good with that, even though that is dazable. I think that's just enough value that I accept it. Ooh, movement. Alright, so I'm playing against Bant. Could be Endurance instead, but I think I like Grist. And we'll go ahead and just plus, start making some critters. Turn Brainstorm. No Brainstorm in response to Green Sun. Am I just gonna eat Terminus? Yeah, I'm gonna eat Terminus. I asked you not to do anything to all of my lovely children at the same time, and you didn't listen. Honestly rude. Oh, Wasteland. That is very good here. So let's go ahead and just turn this into some more mana. Pick up a new Ignoble Hierarch. Plus a Grist. And as this game goes long, I'll find time to cast a Once Upon a Time. Prismatic Ending. Quite strong. I think I cast Once Upon a Time rather than Green Sun here. Once Upon a Time is more than likely to find me a mana source. Undermountain Adventurer as my pickup, and then a Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. Okay. Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. Back for 2. A Supreme Verdict would really fucking put a damper on my day. Ponder's fine. Setting up a Terminus is not fine. If my opponent passes the turn and then upkeep Brainstorm Terminus is me, that's pretty savage. That was a long ponder, followed by a shuffle. There's a Brainstorm. And a fetch land. Removal spell on a mana dork. Removal spell on a mana dork. Hopefully hold. Ooh. 2 removal spells. Soul Land. Damn it. So my opponent has expended a vast number of resources in order to keep me from playing my cards. They've got a window here where they can resolve like a Teferi Time Raveler or play an Uro, and it would be very good. Narset's strong. Finding a Minskin Boo. That's horrifying. Okay, Soul Land is great. So I need to dodge exactly Daze as my opponent's one unknown card in hand. I know one of them's Minskin Boo. Alright, it was not Daze. That's the last forest from my deck. Wow. Okay, Narset has been cashed in. Finding Force of Will. Alright, cool. Forge. This, probably. Just split up my aggression between two bodies. Fuck, alright. This is a 2-turn clock, but my opponent has 4 cards in hand. Oh wow, all of that connected. Do a little bluff here. Start casting a card. Cancel out of that, because I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't have 10. Then I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn. No end of turn flash body. That's a concession. We got a little lucky there. My opponent kind of bottomed out on 5 cards. So it was looking like Bant control, but we saw Minskin Boo, so that's a consideration. Saw Terminus, which makes my mana dorks and Allosaurus Shepherd considerably worse. So in this matchup, I don't really feel like I need this big fat dumb thing. I'll trade it in for one of these other big fat dumb things. My opponent might have Baracus, which makes this worse. I'm probably still playing Trinus here. Allosaurus Shepherd is playable, Endurance is playable. All of Gemstone, not crazy. So, like, I can do this, and then all of a sudden things like Uro and Minskin Boo that cost 2 colors aren't super reasonable. I don't know that I want to do that. I think I want to go up one more big hit for things like Turntimber Symbiosis. I don't need Collector Oof. I don't know about this. I think I'm going to try to tax my opponent's removal spells by playing an extra 1-drop. Yeah, I'll keep this. I'll have some thinking to do about the ordering of these 2 cards, but I'm happy enough with this start. I turn 1 Ignoble Hierarch. On turn 2, I have 5 mana counting Spirit Guide, so like that is just very clearly my play. It is assuming that all of that works. I'm not assuming that this is making it around the table. It's a deck that probably has at least 8 1-drop spells that remove this creature. Yep. Second land drop from my opponent, no immediate plays. My next turn can just be Allosaurus Shepherd and Undermountain Adventurer in the same turn cycle. And I think I'm going to go ahead and play towards that by casting a Once Upon a Time at the end of my opponent's turn. Your Brainstorm is acceptable. I'm probably fetching Bayou off Misty Rainforest, but I'm going to think about it a bit, because I do know that my opponent has Wasteland in their deck. What is this? Wander's fine. Alright, a new land drop. This is whatever they were going to cast before. Oh shit, it's Reckless Impulse. I probably respond to that. Let's go ahead and fetch. I think I will grab Bayou. And I'll cast a Once Upon a Time. Ooh, buddy. I'll grab the Planeswalker there, I think. Brainstorm and Wasteland. So there's the punish for my fetching Bayou. Okay, do I want the initiative or do I want a Planeswalker in play? I get one of the two. I think I want the initiative creature in play. That just brings me closer towards Turntimber Symbiosis. So Allosaurus Shepherd, Soul Land, Exile Spirit Guide for Undermountain Adventurer, pull Forest out of my deck. There are some times where I don't get Wastelanded, even if my opponent does play Wasteland. Alright, they've made their land drop. They also could attack City. I don't know, I revealed Grist, though. Okay, there's a Prismatic Ending. My stuff's counterable again. That matters. Here's the Brainstorm. And am I getting Wastelanded? Is kind of my follow-up question. If so, what Bayou is going? Okay. Am I forging up this creature? I think so. I've got gas in hand. Bonus damage is very much appreciated here. I can contend with something like a Minsk and Boo that would come down. 2, 4, 5, 6. So I'm not to this turn. So let's go ahead and cast a new Once Upon a Time. That's a little insulting, I'm not going to lie to you. Pick up a Verdant Catacombs. I'm going to confirm something. I have 1 Bayou, 3 Forests, 1 Dryad Arbor. This can fetch Dryad Arbor. I'm not stoked about against the Terminus deck. I actually don't really like my position here. Whole like Grist Bayou situation was very awkward. Like if this works and goes all the way, like I'm good. Yeah. As soon as something like that happens, it gets spooky fast. Alright. Wrap my opponent. Their life total is in kind of a scary place for them, but I don't actually have something super relevant here. I think I just play Forest and pass. Lost a couple of mana sources this game in a way that's not great. Oh, are we? Okay. I mean, do what you gotta do, I guess. Oh, shit, it's taking the initiative. That's what it's doing. Sure. That's very good. Yeah, this is very bad. I just get hit for 6 this turn. My opponent takes the initiative, gets a basic land. And, like, Forge and Trap start happening, along with Minsk and Boo ticking up. Yeah, I just think I lose this game to just my hand being clunked up. That doesn't get me the grist. I need some incredibly specific interactions to happen. I think I have to... Oh my god. I think I'm dead. I think my opponent hits me for 8 and then throws a hamster at my face, drawing a bunch of cards, and I just don't beat that. Yeah. Yeah. They draw 6 going to 10 cards. This is untapped, so I can't fetch Dryad Arbor and use it as a mana source. Ugh. Yeah, and that I need this Dryad Arbor. Because if I have it, I have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, and I can cast one of these. But this is summoning sick. I'm just gonna make sure that I didn't miss a land drop. I did not. Alright. I will concede to there. Couldn't quite get over the finish line. Snapcaster Mage makes me a little more interested in endurance. This, in theory, is pretty good. My opponent's seen it now. They might board down on counterspells now that they've like seen this in multiples. Transfer is a little better on the play. Can go higher threat density with another endurance. Alternatively, I can just junk all the Trinispheres and play 3 endurance and be more threat heavy. That might be better. It's honestly really hard to tell without reps what I should be doing here. How is this? This is fine. It's not exciting, it's not sexy, it's not what I want to be doing, but it's fine. Let's cast this. Are you counterable? You're not counterable. I'm gonna take you for as the game goes very long. So let's pick up that Dryad Arbor. Let's not pick up that Dryad Arbor. I've got something very, very cool to do at 7 mana. I have 4 of that next turn. I think I'm just not gonna like try to turbo out an endurance. I'm just gonna go ahead and play a tapped land, call it a turn. Like, I have my end game figured out. And I just have to work out everything that happens in between Tyrranax Rex and now. Sure. That's fine. I'll repeat my turn cycle. Do that tapped. Here we go. I haven't seen a Life from the Loam yet to bring that back. Ooh, no. I think I just keep running the mana direction. Play Ignoble Hierarch, call it a turn. Next turn I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I just do this. It's uncounterable with 77 keywords on it. Yep. 5 mana? 6 mana? 7 mana? Tyrranax Rex? My opponent is dead in 3 turns to that. In very few ways can that actually be disrupted. Would have to be a Terminus. 8, 9 damage after Exalted. Also 4 toxic. 4 poison. Yeah. Are we 3-1 now? Oh yeah, we're 3-1. Positive record already. For our next round here, I'd like to take a minute to thank recent supporters Ian and He-Man. Yeah, even He-Man watches the old ThrabenU legacy videos. Much appreciated, folks, and if you haven't already, make sure to gain access to the Discord to chat with me a little bit more. All right, back to the magic. Final round, we're 3-1. Turn 1, Imprint Grist. Play a Hierarch. Turn 2, Natural Order. Fucking YOLO. Romux. And I think it is Grist that I imprint and not a Hierarch. Yeah. Yeah. Turn. Actually, do I want to play a second Hierarch here? That still just gets me to 4 mana, but in a slightly more stable way. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, just like play a fucking Plains. Plains pass. Okay. I believe I'm legally obligated to YOLO this hand. I'm legally obligated to YOLO this. Exile Spirit Guide, sack the Dryad Arbor. Show me your counterspell. Except, I don't think things get better for me waiting around. Like, I kept this hand on a very much, I am going to try to do this risky thing. And I don't think giving my Delver opponent time to set up is going to make that any better for me. I'd rather try to resolve another threat later and just force the counterspells out now. Getting some damage on in. 19. And a second threat. Not great for me. Chromux. I believe literally the worst draw in the deck there. Yield to these. I expect to lose this game 1. Things can happen. Like, I can find another natural order and it happens to resolve, but life's bad, especially. Oh, well. I just get attacked for 2 this turn. I'm still in business. Alright. Good old Rug Delver. Petty Theft is brutal. I take 4 this turn. I have 2 Chrome Moxen in hand. I guess I won't concede, but I think I'm dead. I can put this under a Chrome Mox to have a guaranteed mana source that resolves around days. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to assume that I'm not beating any more interaction from my opponent, and I'm going to do this in a riskier but higher upside way. Okay, and it doesn't pay off. But this days would have caught the first threat that I actually played. In the worlds where that resolves, I end up with an extra exalted creature in play, and that bonus damage might be the difference. Oh, okay, with a Force of Will in hand, I'm comfortable conceding there. That's fine. All right. I do not want Collector Oof. I do not want Trinispheres. I do want Endurance. I do want Run Afoul, and I probably want one more threat. I want an Archon as something that flies. I already have this as something that flies. Do I just want a Progenitus? Yeah. I also could just keep on 3 threats and just play an extra Allosaurus Shepherd. That's not crazy either. I have board clear 1, I have block 1, and I have damage 1. This is just like not enough versus some of their things. Maybe I play another one of these. Yeah, and I need a lot more reps with this deck to figure out how I actually want to approach these matchups. Dryad Arbor in hand is really awkward. Turn 1 Bayou, turn 1 Bayou Noble Hierarch. Turn 2 be forced to play City of Traders, to play Grist, or play Dryad Arbor and pass. If this Bayou gets wastelanded, I never get to play Grist, in all likelihood. It does have a natural order, which is a really strong card. It does have endurance, but this land sequencing is so awkward, and it's so bad to have Dryad Arbor in hand. I'm gonna ship this one. This isn't the best. I accept it. I just kind of hope that Once Upon a Time finds me a reasonable green source. Dude, Once Upon a Time, absolutely fuck you, you piece of shit. Yeah. We had a very large number of hits there. Spirit guides included. Alright. Well, 3 and 2 is a fine league. Okay, that's fine. Gives me a reset chance to just draw a green land here. Cool. Fast turn. Absolutely cannot play out City of Traders. I need that later on to bridge to 4 mana. But this league is over. 100%. I will not come back from this. Alright. There's another whiff. I'll give it one more turn. But if I miss on a green source next turn, I just don't think there's any way I come back. Like, my opponent gets time to set up. Their dazes will be great all game. There's another land drop. 3 card types in graveyard. A ponder here could put them over the top. There it is. I'll eat 3 damage going to 17. Come on, land. Alright. We may pretend to play Magic. Let's, I guess, take the Dryad Arbor out of deck here. Or try to, more accurately. Yeah, I think my opponent just hyper-aggressively attacks any mana ramp that I do. And they should very easily beat me. Like, they can drop a Murktide Regent this turn, or something like that, and it's over. Even just another Delver or Dragon Rage Channeler is horrific. Sure. The Ponder shuffled, which I guess is technically good news for me. Not the worst. I can play Ignoble Hierarch around days and then expose this land to Wasteland. I'm not going to preemptively endurance my opponent to play around Murktide Regent. They had a chance to play one last turn. Well, play around one thing, get got by another. I will eat 3 damage. I have no castable cards in my hand unless I draw a new Soul Land. And I also had the Murktide Regent. That's a 6/6 Murktide Regent. I believe that is the end of this game. That's just too swift a clock. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. GG's. So we end this league with a 3-2 finish. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I don't like it. I don't like the way that this deck is constructed. And I'm going to take a minute to break this down. So there's 21 creatures in this deck, but that's not really exactly true, right? So you have these 11 cards that are trying to look for certain creatures, and Natural Order can just tutor one, but like these 7 cards get to look at creatures. 12 of these things that you can look at are just not good to look at with these. Like, you can put a creature into play, but you don't want to spend 7 mana to get something like this. And so, realistically speaking, in this deck, there are 9 threats. Of them, the Grist is really easy to get stuck in your hand, as is the Atraxa. These other 2 are technically castable, and sometimes you can get there with Undermountain Adventurer. But I'm very unhappy with how, like, Once Upon a Time and Turntimber Symbiosis were hitting in this league. And a single Bayou is not really enough to make Grist castable. Like, Boseiju, for example, should probably go for a second Bayou if you actually want to play Grist. I ran out of fetchables multiple times despite only having 2 fetch lands. I don't like the amount of threats in this deck. I don't like the awkwardness of the mana base. I didn't feel good about the sideboard either. Like, I had access to the sorts of cards that I wanted to have, but I was very unsure about how I should use them and how I should be boarding. Like, I didn't just feel like, oh, this is exactly what I want to be doing in this matchup. Maybe I should have mulliganed more, or maybe I should have mulliganed less. Like, some of this is certainly on me. But, like, there were times where it's just like, okay, I need a threat to finish this game. Like, okay, I lost the initiative. I just need something that can get me over the finish line for those last couple of points of damage. Like, this one was not for me. I did some cool things in this league. Like, I had fun playing this, but I wouldn't boot this up again in its current state. And I feel like this is probably less powerful than just jamming some more shifting Ceratops or something like that into the deck that just increases the threat density. I would also like very strongly consider cutting these two cards for more threats. Um, this was about the best league for Allosaurus Shepherd as a like one of Green Sun target in a long time, and like I did board it in, like the second copy in. But if these things were just things that killed my opponent, would the league have gone better? Hard to say. At the same time here, I also will recognize that we played against a lot of counterspell decks versus in this league. And I think if we play against non-counterspell decks and I just like can race them with like a turn 3 natural order or sometimes a turn 2 natural order, I think things go a little bit differently. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. If you have any thoughts about the deck building, would love to hear them down in the comments. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!